Hello, you are now entering the infinite void. Hang on tight. We cannot save you now.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode. I'm your co-host Jacob.
And I'm your co-host Matty, and today's episode is part 2 of our series Crewed Space Flight, The Present.
So we're going to be breaking down this series into 3 parts like we mentioned last episode. So part 1, which was last episode, was all about the past of crewed space missions, where we kind of broke down how it kind of all started and some of the like more iconic, more famous missions that kind of were about. And then this episode is going to be all about current crewed space missions, where we're going to be breaking down more of the more recent kind of ones that are happening and ones that are going to be happening this year. And then we're going to be having part 3, which is all going to be about like future crewed space missions, where I'm sure we'll be getting into talking about Artemis and Mars and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so last time I think I said, like, for me, the sort of boundary between the past and the present is somewhere probably around 2010,
Yeah.
where you transition from basically all space stuff being done by America, Russia, and a few other nations to sort of the beginnings of SpaceX and the NASA commercial crew program
Yeah.
and sort of this commercialization of stuff. And then I said, and that sort of things that we're going to be looking at today is what these commercial companies have been doing. And then that takes us up to now and probably in the next few years of more commercial stuff, doing, more stuff in space. And then sort of beyond that into the part 3, the future is then, I guess, I think it'll go more back towards nations sort of doing interplanetary things.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we kick off with sort of where this all began then? And I guess I can start with, as I said, what I think is sort of the beginning of the present, which is, and I think a nice space for it is SpaceX's Crew One mission. So
Okay.
that was the first crewed flight of SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft.
Yeah.
So this was in April 2010, which I said is, I think, a nice sort of boundary between past and present. And this was carrying NASA astronauts Michael Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker, along with JAXA astronaut Soichi Noguchi, all members of the Expedition 64 crew. And yeah, I think this is where it all began, really. SpaceX went from testing and demonstrators to actually flying people into space.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you. I think for me, it was like on my radar, all of like the original Crew One stuff, but it wasn't like for me. I really started paying attention when we kind of started doing this podcast, which I'm sure we'll go on to talk about when it was like, I think it was demo 2 and all that kind of fun stuff that they were doing. But for me, yeah, watching this was interesting because it was all like I was seeing it all like kick off, but I wasn't paying too much attention, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'd agree. I think it was huge to see a company that wasn't like funded through a nation to kind of go and achieve this.
Yeah, yeah, and this sort of, I mentioned at the beginning, it sort of all plays into NASA's bigger picture of commercializing a lot of the sort of routine stuff in space. So they have this commercial crew program, which is their sort of catch-all for companies doing commercial crewed missions for NASA. So basically flying people to and from the International Space Station is most of it at the moment, but I'm sure it will be expanded beyond that. And as I said, this sort of commercial crew program began providing service in 2020. So this was the first of the SpaceX missions to the International Space Station, which I think we'll probably have some more information on later. But yeah, they began to sort of replace some of the Soyuz programs, which we spoke about last time. And in the near future, they're going to be looking to bring Boeing into this as well, with Boeing's Starliner spacecraft becoming operational sometime this year. So NASA certainly have a plan for what they want to be doing with this commercial stuff. And as I said, it's sort of this routine stuff that I think NASA wants to sort of contract out, because you can get obviously better scalability. If NASA is supplying 10, 20, 30 spacecraft to go to the International Space Station or elsewhere each year, it makes sense to just sort of contract that out to companies who can ramp up and do lots of things a lot faster than NASA can, and ultimately leave NASA's budget more for the big stuff. And whether that's sort of getting people back to the moon or Mars, or doing actual sort of science, like with James Webb Space Telescope. So I think this commercialization of these sort of shuttle launches is quite a good thing. And certainly, hopefully, when Boeing joins in as well, we might actually start to get some economic competition in the field. So
yeah, no, I'd agree, and I think they made a big point of it as well, didn't they? Because I even remember on like Crew 2 and all of those kind of not Crew 2, I think it was Demo 2 again, when they were kind of like making that big deal about it being launched on like American soil, and how they made it all very historic as well, didn't they, by choosing the same launch pad and all that kind of fun stuff. But should we move on to maybe one of SpaceX's competitors?
Yeah.
And that is the Blue Origin. Is it New Shepard 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure my notes were right. So that was a suborbital spaceflight mission that was operated by Blue Origin that launched in October 13th, 2021. And that mission was the 18th flight of the company's New Shepard integrated launch vehicle and spacecraft. And this was an interesting one because I think a lot of people didn't want it to kind of work. And I think there was obviously a lot of memes about the shape of the rocket and how it looked from certain angles. But I think it was very interesting. I think it was like a testament to Blue Origin as well, because it is hard to get to orbit, like we've seen with companies like Rocket Lab and Astra recently, and all of these kind of things. And like, I understand that there's obviously a lot of hate around like Jeff Bezos and stuff, but I feel like there's probably a really strong team working at Blue Origin just trying to make all this stuff work.
Yeah, I think so. That I think I don't sort of read massively into Blue Origin stuff or sort of a lot of these companies. Even SpaceX, I put hands up and say I don't know a huge amount about. But the Blue Origin one, I think, is a bit weird in that they seem to be very heavily focused on like the tourism and sort of fun side of stuff, and they don't seem to have such a clear pathway to actually like providing services in the same way that SpaceX do. So I think it'll be interesting to see with Blue Origin like what they actually go on to do with this thing. Because their New Shepard spacecraft, as I understand it, like it wouldn't be capable of taking people to the International Space Station, for example. So it's a bit of a weird one, and I don't really understand what their plans are going forward, other than just launching a handful of people at a time for fun or publicity. So
no, I agree with you. I think they're doing some kind of collaboration, which I think we'll be talking about next episode for the future one, where they're doing that orbital reef thing, aren't they? Where they're building like that private space station as well. So I'm guessing by then they'll have to have figured out their booster thing. But aren't they supplying something for the Artemis missions as well?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I think they're supplying something. It might even be like a booster engine or something like that. But then obviously after that one, you had New Shepard 19 as well. Which then launched in December last year. But it was fun watching Jeff Bezos go to space, wasn't it? There was lots of fun videos of all of them kind of like discussing it, and you could see him looking down on the planet and everyone was playing like that meme of him. Have you heard that Jeffrey Bezos song?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The Jeff Bezos thing.
I think it's weird that like last year we lived in a world where like billionaires were like trying to go to space. I'm surprised that Elon Musk didn't like go, but maybe that's like more of the flex, isn't it? That it's kind of just like I've been able to go for a couple of years and I haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe he's waiting for Mars.
Yeah. Just I had a quick frantic Google. The Blue Origin thing, that was the story we touched on recently about how I'm not sure if they will be supplying anything now because they lost that lawsuit with NASA over the moon contract when NASA decided to award it to SpaceX instead. So just the article that I found is SpaceX going to develop a human landing system for the Artemis program, beating off Blue Origin. So I think it might still be sort of going through the courts about the lawsuit, but
interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
That is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously another competitor to throw in the mix is Virgin Galactic. Because we had Virgin Galactic, Unity 21 and Unity 22, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And obviously Unity 21 was a suborbital spaceflight. And this is weird because I kind of like how it looked. I think me and you kind of discussed this on a Twope when it was going down. Like, it's cool that you can like kind of go up in a plane. It's different. It seems more like for the people that might be scared of like going up in a rocket and coming down with like chutes and stuff, it definitely seems more viable. But it was interesting because like they essentially like put it on the back of a plane, don't they? And then they launch it up.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it kind of goes up, doesn't it? And then it rotates and flips round, and then it has like this weird kind of, it like changes the shape of the plane, doesn't it? When it goes into like that orbital moment. And then it looks really cool. And then it kind of comes back down and lands like on a runway, which is kind of surreal.
Yeah, I think we said like, because again, like Virgin Galactic is similar to Blue Origin. They seem to be very heavily focused on the sort of tourism and sort of fun side of space flights. And we said at a time that in terms of an actual like experience to do, this one seemed, it seems more, I guess, firstly obtainable and also more viable as something that people might want to pay to do, like because it's more similar to a plane, but you get to see space.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, you're sort of, just sort of the aesthetics of it, like you're sat there, you're looking out of your window, sort of thing, and then you can float around this sort of quite large cabin because it is similar to a plane. Compared to Blue Origin, which is like a capsule where you sort of just face the person in front of you while you're going up, float around in your little capsule for a few moments, and then strap back in. So,
yeah, it is, and it's a lot cheaper as well, isn't it? The Virgin Galactic one.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder if it'll become more viable in the future because it's not really open to the public yet, is it? It's still. I think tickets have gone on sale, but it's not like. They're not happening yet, are they?
No.
Which will be interesting. And then obviously, in the second one, didn't Richard Branson go up himself? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
With Beth Moses, Colin Burnett, and Sarisha Banda. Or Bandler.
I think Branson was on the first one. I think he was on Unity 21.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think so. Was he? I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
I don't know. I thought the first one was actual like people, and then the second one he went on.
Oh, okay. So I'm getting confused. Yeah, 22 was the first. 21 was crewed, but not with like passengers. So,
yeah. They were it was like pilots and everything, wasn't it? And then 22 was him. Because do you remember the launch video for it where he like cycles to the launch pad and then they're like making it look like he just did that the day of his class. I love that. I love that he like had his little ego moment for that.
Yeah. Again, they're compared to Blue Origin. I don't want to sort of like keep comparing the two, but they're coverage and like hyping up of it was definitely better than the Origins. Like, it was so funny, that video they put together.
Yeah, no. It was class. And then he had like his whole speech and everything, didn't he, when he got up there?
Mm-hmm.
About like being a young boy and reaching for the stars. And now he's reached for the stars and anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the BBC News loved that over here. They're lapping it up like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. And then obviously throughout the year as well, we had the SpaceX Crew 2 mission, which launched in April 2021. And we also had the SpaceX Crew 3 mission, which launched on November the 11th, I think, in 2021. Wasn't that supposed to be a Halloween launch as well, but then it got delayed?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I got excited for that. That was going to be fun. I like it when NASA do all their little Halloween overlays and everything. But yeah, I love the SpaceX crewed missions, and I love the streams that they do as well, because they always get really cool people to like come and host them, and like they always know their stuff, and they're always like jumping around the teams, jumping around the room, showing the astronauts walking. And it's always really cool because you got like Teslas taking the astronauts down, and I do think the SpaceX suits look cool. I know they're not like proper astronaut suits, but they do look cool. And you get all like the ninjas and everything that come and like strap everybody in and like lock it all off and stuff like that. And it's a fun experience to watch it all.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like I love the like normal NASA streams too, but the SpaceX ones are fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they always have, and like they blacked out that tower, which just looks cool in itself. The launch pad tower. I like that.
Been watching the recent developments of chopsticks? That massive.
I haven't. No. What have they been doing now?
They've been constructing a. What's the big SpaceX rocket called? You've got a name of it.
Falcon 9.
No, the top bit, Starship.
Starship, yeah.
Yeah, Starship. They've been constructing a stack for one of those with the new chopsticks thing. So that sort of massive sort of landing. What's it called?
It's like
completely gone blank.
Mecha arm thing.
Yeah.
That catches it, yeah.
Yeah. But they've been using that to sort of like construct one of these things on pads. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be insane when they do that.
I can't wait to see him catch something with it.
It's going to be nuts as well, because like they're so expensive. It's awesome already. Like me and you talked about this like till the end of time on this podcast, but like it was so awesome to watch that Starship go up and kind of glide and come back down and land. It was just epic. I'm very excited to see what they do with that. Yeah. But then we had Inspiration 4 as well, which was huge. That was a big thing last year as well. A lot of these missions were last year. I know you kind of said the turning point was 2010, but it really does seem like last year was like a boom, wasn't it, really, in like the space age kind of thing. Everybody was kind of getting up to it. And obviously Inspiration 4 was this kind of operation led by SpaceX and Jared Isaacman, the CEO, Jared Isaacman, which recently just announced a new venture with SpaceX again, which I'm sure we'll be covering next week with future missions. But essentially, they're going to be building an EVA suit for SpaceX. But yeah, this mission was cool because they created like 4 pillars for what they wanted the mission to stand for, went out and selected these people, and then went up there and made like a documentary on Netflix. And that documentary was awesome. It was like really cool to see like the realization of like what it actually means to go to space. Like if something went wrong, what would your family do? Do you have commitments to your like children and all this kind of stuff? And it was just really cool to watch and to kind of see what you'd go through. And then they installed that cupola thing, didn't they, on the top of the Crew Dragon thing, so you can kind of go and stick your head through and get a 360 view of the Earth, which I can imagine is just insane to see. And they were up there for a couple of days, weren't they? Yeah, I think they're up there for 2 days or just under 2 days. And then they splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean. But that whole thing was awesome. I really enjoyed all the hype up for that, and like again, the stream was really good to watch. And I feel like every time they do it now, they just kind of take more equipment up there. And another thing I like about SpaceX launches is they always have the 0G indicator plush toys.
Yeah.
And there's always a different one, and they always make me laugh,
Mhm.
like a planet Earth or a dinosaur or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and I'm hoping we see sort of more of those things. I know a lot of people sort of complain about it being a waste of money or resources and stuff, but at the end of it, it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah. Now you want to be doing that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And then obviously, I think that was what was the last launch of last year? Was it the it was Crew 3, wasn't it? I think no, that was one. Or my game.
I can't remember. End of the year, I was focused on James Webb. So.
Oh, it was the Blue Origin one. That was the latest one.
Mhm.
Because that was at the beginning of December, and then the end of the year was the James Webb launch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crazy, really, how quick all of this kind of stuff has exploded. Because I know I've said this before, but it's like it's nuts. Because when we started this podcast, we were kind of like just talking about how it was all kicking off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was barely any launches. They were like once a few months kind of thing.
Mhm.
And now it just seems like there are loads of companies doing them. There are loads of like different schedules going on. There seems to be like multiple things happening. Like there are other countries now getting involved too. Like you've obviously got China and you've got Japan, and even the UK is claiming now that they're going to be launching
Like,
rockets. Well, I'm not saying anything till I see it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I'm still skeptical, but
Because isn't one of the launch pads now going to be in the Shetland Islands? Is that right?
yeah, there's actually one in Cornwall, one in sort of the Shetlands or Hebrides or something like that, somewhere very far north.
I just feel like it's too windy. Are you ever going to launch something when it's that windy?
Yeah, rains 300 days a year as well.
Don't you have to do a certain orbit as well?
Yeah, you can't. So the reason why most things launch from near the equator, so obviously NASA's got Kennedy Space Center, and Europe launches from Kazakhstan and from French Guiana, just north of Brazil, is near the equator. You get basically an orbital boost of the rotation of the Earth, gives you some extra speed, which you sort of need. So I think we are going to be limited to polar orbits. So rather than going around the Earth, things are going sort of the other way over the poles, which does sort of limit us a bit on what we can do. But I'm sure I'll make it work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the UK kind of come up with all of that. I'm all for it. I'm just interested in seeing how they go about it. They seem to have quite an aggressive plan that they're going to be attacking over the next couple of years.
You got some catching up to do, is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to be seeing the UK SpaceX anytime soon.
No. There are a few cool little companies though in the UK are doing it. Like there's one that's called, I think, Skyora. Yeah. Which are up in Scotland, and I think they launched one little rocket, didn't they? Which seemed promising. And then I think there's a few other like 3D printing ones that are down in like Swindon near the UK Space Agency. Yeah,
I think the UK and even the UK is more focused on. Well, it certainly was, and I think it probably still will be. Probably should be. Is more focused on sort of specialist things. So that satellite company down Surrey Satellites, I think they're quite a big sort of player. You know, the UK has quite a good history and a lot of very clever people at quite specialist things. So radar technologies and scientific instruments, these sorts of things. So I think that's where the UK can really play a part, is supplying other companies and other missions with specialist equipment. I really don't see us sort of building and launching tens of rockets that can carry stuff to the International Space Station every year. I don't think we have the budgets to do it. I don't think. I think that sort of ship has sailed, and we'll be catching up on 20 or 30 years of sort of commercial operations in America predominantly, even sort of China and Russia, where you could be years behind on. So
it almost makes more sense to kind of just wait a little bit longer until that technology becomes more available and then bunny hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of like spending that long, as you're saying, like trying to accomplish it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm sure they know what they're doing at UK Space Agency.
But it's not going to be them, though, is it? It's going to be the government coming up with some plan because they're going to be trying to sell their.
Well, it's like that
government.
What was the satellite constellation they bought?
OneWeb.
OneWeb, yeah. That I said from the very beginning, that very first news episode where we talked about it, and they'd announced that they were going to buy it and use it for something else. I was like, this is just insane. Like, it's not. Is it going to happen? It is never going to happen. Like, you can't buy satellites that are built to do communications.
Yeah.
And expect to build a GPS constellation with it. They're not the same sorts of things.
I know.
That seems to have gone very quiet. I've not heard from it out in months. So the last thing I heard about was they needed £400 million to pay off some debts or something.
Jeez.
Because the company that used to own it had accrued a huge amount of debt launching this constellation. So yeah, I think that will be swept under the carpet.
They've been rolling out betas now, haven't they, for Starlink as well in Europe?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been a few people in like Germany and stuff that have been getting their like little dishes and using it. I'm well interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying to my girlfriend, I was like, as soon as Starlink becomes available, I'm going to sell my car. I'm going to buy a van. I'm going to like convert the back out so I can like stay in it and stuff occasionally, go on like mad camping trips, and then just stick my dish on top of it and get super high speed internet. And like be able to podcast from like a forest or something. Go out, do like some astrophotography and like live stream it and stuff. It'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so cool. But I'm well interested in that stuff. The thing that scares me about all that kind of stuff is like what we've said before. Like, why can't I know there's reasons why we can't because of like rules against being able to like monopolize economies and markets and stuff like that. But in terms of like space debris, it would just make more sense if everyone was kind of like, this will be the supplier of that satellite. This will be the supplier of that satellite. I know competition's healthy, but like when you've got a limited amount of space of what we can put up there, it's probably not good everybody trying to have a go. Although, how do you decide who's having a go?
Yeah, I think the problem is, I read an article that was quite interesting, and it sort of compared it to it's very, very different, but there's sort of similarities with sort of like food delivery apps and things like Uber. And it's basically a case of these companies will just spend a huge amount of money and effort very quickly trying to expand and get something working. So like this happened a few years ago with like Uber and Hungry House and Just Eat and these sorts of companies. And it's happening again now with like electric scooters, that it will just do absolutely everything to get like a service. Even if they lose loads of money for years, it doesn't matter. They will just get a service running, because the moment that you're signed up to it and like it's on your phone, you won't use anything else. Like the moment you download Uber, you won't ever download any other sort of ride sharing app because you have no need to. And I think that's sort of similar with a lot of, it's obviously very different, but a lot of these satellite companies like Starlink and sort of their competitors are thinking, well, if we can just launch as much stuff as possible and get it working, the moment like we have a service that's working, people will use.
Yeah.
Because if Starlink can get a fully functioning communication system working in, say, Europe, no one will ever spend money switching to another provider who hasn't yet got a full service. So, like, it's a catch-22. The first one to do it and do it fully, or the best, will take the market. And
is that kind of similar then when it comes to like quantum computers?
yeah, it's similar. Just a lot of industries at the moment. This sort of period in time is quite unusual, and we haven't seen it for quite a while. Where a lot of sort of spurred on by the internet and
oh yeah, I guess another one would be like the metaverse kind of potential. Like no one really knows where that's going. Like, is it going to be like VR? Is it going to be Web3? What's it going to be? Kind of thing.
The other set of technologies is sort of climate change and green technologies. So, things like electric aircraft. I work with sort of tech companies and sort of filing patents and stuff. So you see a lot of companies will just, you can see it, they're just throwing absolutely everything out there. They're just trying to get as many patents, as many IP rights, and swallow up as many like small little startups as possible, knowing that most of them won't work and most of it is just rubbish. But thinking that like if they can just get a big chunk of the market, they're set for the next 50 or 100 years.
Yeah.
Because as I said, it's a very weird time at the moment where a lot of technologies are going through quite big, drastic jumps that we haven't seen in probably 50 years. Like the last time that this happened really is like, obviously it depends on industry, but like the switch from propeller aircraft to jet engines in like the 50s and 60s, and the switch from analog devices to digital in the 70s and 80s. Like a lot of these industries haven't changed in like 50 years, and they are changing very, very rapidly. And a lot of the space stuff falls into that of like, as I said, in the space of 10 years, going back to 2010, we've gone from basically all space stuff being done by NASA, Russia, and some other countries to a lot of potential for these companies to make money and sort of get a slice of quite a nice pie. So
yeah,
it's very weird at the moment, tech, and obviously that falls against sort of larger issues of what's happening in society, and the economy seems to be quite volatile at the moment. So
yeah, I don't like looking at my portfolio because I can't navigate the market at the moment.
No, well, with inflation as well, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, so, it's crazy.
Yeah, the entire system seems to be quite broken. And yeah, there's a lot of things happening. But as I said, like a lot of these companies just seem to be throwing absolutely everything out there, trying to get in early. And when it's software on your phone, it makes no difference. When it's companies trying to get electric aircraft or trying to get quantum computers, there's potential that a lot of people's time is wasted and quite a lot of money is wasted. Okay, but when it's space stuff, you're talking about thousands of bits of trash being left in space for 50 years. So yeah, yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, no, it is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good place to kind of cap off the episode. If I'm honest with you, that was a good kind of little summary there, Matt.
Thank you.
But yeah, so if we missed anything out or if we got anything wrong, I think the only thing I want to say now that I did notice, I think we said one astronaut's name that was wrong, that was meant to be in Crew 2, not Crew 1, but that's my fault. Or I can't remember whose fault that was, but I noticed after I said it, I read it off the wrong paragraph. So I apologize to anyone that may have got upset by that. But yeah, if we missed anything, let us know down in the comment section below. Also, let us know what your favorite kind of like crewed space mission has been up until this point. So anything that has happened up until this week, which is like February 2022 kind of area. And yeah, if you haven't followed us yet on social media, you can go and check us out on Infinite Void Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. And that's probably the best places to keep up to date with when we're posting episodes, what the new series titles are going to be, and anything me and Matty might be up to. Occasionally gets retweeted on those accounts and reposted on those accounts too. And yeah, you can follow me at Jacob E. Carson if you have any questions for me or you want to see what I'm doing. And you can follow Matty at the Matty JMP. And yeah, guys, we will catch you next episode for part 3, the final episode of our crewed space missions. Oh, and go and check out our website, www.theinfinitevoid.com, because I keep forgetting to shout that one out. And it'll be in the link. So if you don't want to type it, you can go and click on it. And we got loads of fun stuff on there. There's every single episode archived with links. There's a little intro. There's other links to being able to find all of the different platforms that you can get the podcast on. So if you use a fancy other platform or you've switched in the last year and you forgot that we exist, you can go and listen to us on that podcast platform too. So yeah, go and check out our website because, you know, it needs traffic. It's always fun when we get to see where all the viewers come from the world. And if you sign up to our newsletter and stuff like that, you get loads of cool little free goodies. So yeah, go check that out and we will catch you next episode. Hey everyone, we wanted to take a moment to tell you about our brand new Patreon page.
Yeah, so we've devised a load of new goodies that are neatly packaged across 3 different tiers for you.
Tiers start at £3 and go all the way up to £10 a month.
Just to say the Patreon is in no way an obligation, and we're going to continue making the podcast as it is freely available across all the platforms. But if you'd like to support us and show your support, you can now.
So yeah, head over to patreon.com/Infinite Void Pod for more information.